James was just a regular guy. Stable life, same daily routine, work and home, friends, everything running like it should. He'd wake up every morning, sip his coffee, peek out the window at the quiet city streets, then head to work with zero surprises or changes. Everything was just as usual. Work, home, quiet, a simple life, no problems. But he had no clue that one thing was about to flip everything upside down. Just 1 hour after buying the game, his life started turning into pure hell. And what used to feel familiar suddenly got weird, scary, totally inescapable. At first, it was just a doll, a big smile, bright colors, and an innocent laugh meant to charm kids. James bought Labubu out of curiosity, just some weird toy he heard about online. But then he noticed something. The doll's eyes. It felt like they moved every time he looked away. At night, he started hearing a faint giggle, a tiny laugh with no clear source. At first, he kept telling himself it was nothing, just his imagination, just a toy. But night after night, the giggle got closer, sharper, until he realized Labubu wasn't just sitting in the corner anymore. It was watching him. He slowly turned his head, and there was Labubu, no longer where he left it. It was closer, closer to his bed. His heart started pounding, and he tried to convince himself he'd just forgotten where he put it. But when he placed it back and turned off the light, he heard tiny footsteps moving across the wooden floor. This wasn't his imagination. It was moving, for real. The next night, James tried to watch it. He sat in the dark, staring at the doll like he was daring it to move. Minutes dragged by, slow and heavy, with nothing happening, until he started to believe maybe it was all in his head. But then, out of nowhere, he heard from the corner of the room, "James." His body froze. His blood turned cold. He couldn't believe what he just heard. The little doll had called his name, and as he stepped closer, each move shaking with fear, he saw its smile stretching wider, wider than it ever should. Since that night, James was never the same. During the day, he'd hear his name being called from empty rooms, and at night, his life turned into endless nightmares. Trapped in dark hallways, hearing Labubu's laugh, first like a child, then twisting into a deep echo that sounded like screams. Every morning he'd wake to find the doll closer, on his desk, by his bed, sometimes right at his door. Even his friends noticed something was off. His eyes looked drained. His body would shake at the smallest sound. But the worst part? He started hearing that laugh even while he was awake. He no longer knew. Was this just a nightmare haunting his sleep? Or had Labubu truly broken free from being just a toy and become part of his reality? One night, James decided he was done. He grabbed the doll and tossed it into the trash can outside his house. For a moment, he felt relief, but the second he stepped back into his room, he froze. Labubu was sitting on his bed. This time, it didn't move slowly. It turned its head straight toward him, two wide eyes, glowing in the dark, and a smile stretching so far, it split across its face. Then its mouth opened, and two voices came out at once, a sweet child's and a deep, rough voice, screaming his name. "James!" The lights went out, the cold rushed in, and he knew this wasn't just a doll anymore. He was face to face with a living nightmare, one that wouldn't let him go until the very end. That night was nothing like the others. The door slammed shut on its own. The windows shattered, and the cold crept in so deep he could feel his breath freezing. Labubu was no longer just a tiny doll. It grew before his eyes, limbs stretching, its smile tearing open into a long black slit that swallowed the darkness. The walls began to bleed, black stains crawling across the surface, moving like they were alive. James ran to the door, but it wouldn't budge, and behind him he heard footsteps, tiny, fast, getting closer. Suddenly, he was dragged to the floor. Something had grabbed his ankle. He turned and saw the doll's arms stretching out, claws digging into his skin as its laugh echoed. "You're mine now." "Ah!" he screamed, fighting to break free. but blood ran down his leg. The harder he struggled, the sharper the pain grew. In a desperate moment, he remembered the lighter he always kept on his desk. With a trembling hand, he pulled it out and flicked it on. The flame touched the doll's dress. Instantly, a scream ripped through the room. Not a human scream, but dozens of voices shrieking all at once. The doll caught fire, the stench filling the air like burning flesh. The flames lit the room, and he saw the shadows that had surrounded him vanish one by one. But before it turned to ash, Labubu smiled one last time. A calm, eerie smile, as if to say, "This isn't over." And James said,
I can't forget that night, like it's been burned into my brain. I was sitting in my room, trying to read anything to block it out, when I felt the air change. It got heavy, suffocating, every hair on my body standing up. The door shut by itself. I didn't touch it. It closed, slow, and the sound of it echoed in my head like the end of something. The windows flew open and then smashed, glass raining down around me, and that cold rushed in hard. It wasn't normal cold. It felt like it came from somewhere, not meant for humans. My heart was hammering, and then I saw it. Labubu. She wasn't the same. Her body stretched in front of me, limbs lengthening, the crack of her joints tearing the silence. Her smile. It split open so wide I felt like her face would split in two. And that wasn't even everything. The walls. The walls themselves started to bleed. Sticky black lines ran down, pooling on the floor, crawling like they were alive. I was trapped. Trapped inside a nightmare while awake. I ran for the door, grabbed the handle so hard my hand hurt, but the door wouldn't move. Behind me I heard steps. Tiny. Stuttering. Close. Fast. My legs went numb with fear. I fell to the floor. Before I could get up, something cold and thin wrapped around my ankle. I looked down. It wasn't a hand. It was claws. Little hooked things tearing into my skin. Blood was dripping onto the floor. And she laughed. Not a normal laugh. A child's innocent giggle tangled with a deep, rough voice. Something demonic. And I heard her say, clear as day,
"You're mine now, James."
My whole body froze. I wanted to scream, to fight. But every time I tried to move, the claws dug in deeper. The pain. It was unbearable. Then I saw it. My lighter on the desk. I reached for it with shaking hands. Every second felt like hell. I thought I might tear myself apart trying to pull away from her grip. I snapped the lighter open and lit it. That little flame. It was my only hope. I brought it up to her dress. The moment the flame touched her, everything changed. A scream, horrible, ripped out of her. Not one voice, but dozens layered together. Kids screaming, women screaming, men screaming, like trapped souls being ripped free. The smell hit me. Sickening, like burning flesh. I nearly threw up, but I couldn't move from fear. As she burned, the shadows that had filled the room started to evaporate, disappearing one by one, and I thought it was over. But before she turned to ash, she looked at me. She smiled. A calm, icy smile. Colder than death. Like she was saying, "We're not done yet. This is just the beginning."
and from that day on, James was never the same. They say he survived, but his eyes were never like before, like something is still haunting him. Maybe Labubu really did burn, or maybe part of her is still alive, just waiting for the right moment to return. Do you think a simple toy could change a person's whole life? Sometimes the thing you like, the thing you're tempted to buy, could become the worst curse you ever bring home. Not every doll that looks innocent is truly innocent. Don't forget, horror often comes from the simplest things. And you, still not afraid? If your heart is strong, subscribe to the channel. Maybe the next video will be the one that truly scares you.